So we're solving this equation. It has variables on both sides. Your goal is to get x by itself on one side, but in this case, you have an x on the left side of the equal sign and on the right side of the equal sign. So what are we going to do? We're going to get rid of one of the x's. So there's many roads to the same place. I'm going to decide to cancel out that 2x by subtracting 2x. That'll cancel out. You'll have a negative 10 equals x take away 2x is negative 1x. And all I need to do now is get the x by itself on one side. It doesn't matter if it's on the left side or the right side. In this case, it's on the right side. But I need to get rid of that negative in front of that x. So I'm going to divide by negative 1 and divide by negative 1, and I'm done. My answer is positive x equals a positive 10. It's probably better to write it like this, x equals 10. Either one is acceptable. So at this point, I want you guys to try this one. So if you're watching this from home, hit pause, try it, and then unpause. So ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't really matter whether you move the m to this side or move this m to that side, as long as you get m by itself on one side. I am going to go plus 6m, cancel it out, plus 6m, just because I'll end up with a positive 5m instead. So let me rewrite this thing. I have 1 with a plus 5m. I'm going to bring down the equal sign and bring down what's left over on the right side. And now I could worry about solving this equation by subtracting 1 on both sides. And you're going to end up with 5m equals 5. And your final step to get rid of the multiplication of 5 would be to divide by 5 and divide by 5. And we know that m equals 1. There's the answer there. Should I explain number 2 or move on? Move on. Okay. So on this next one it says, many times we have to simplify first, then we worry about isolating the variable on one side. So in this case, when we look at the left side, there's simplification that we could do. Over here, there's simplification we could do. So let's just do one side at a time. So looking at the left side, I'm going to distribute negative 3 times x, that's negative 3x. Negative 3 times positive 5, that's a negative 15. And there's nothing else to do there. So now I'm going to move this over and ignore the left side and just focus in on the right side and distribute 3 times x, that's 3x. 3 times negative 1, that's negative 3. And I'm going to bring down the equal sign. And now I have a simplified equation. Okay? I want to get x by itself, but I have x's on both sides. I have a negative 3x over here and a positive 3x over here. So you could get rid of anyone you want by doing the opposite. I want to get rid of this guy by doing the opposite of minus 3x. The opposite of minus 3x is plus 3x. And what you do to one side, you must do to the other to maintain the balance. So these guys cancel out. My new equation is going to be negative 15 equals, the equal sign comes down. This becomes positive 6x, and the minus 3 also comes down. So I'm almost done. All I need to do is 2 more steps. I need to get rid of the minus 3 first, and then after that get rid of the 6. So I want to get rid of the minus 3 by going plus 3 and plus 3. And I end up with a negative 12 equals 6x. So for my final step, I'm going to divide by 6 and divide by 6. I ran out of space. So my answer will be x equals negative 2. So I hope you guys got that. Let's move on. Moving on to example 5. Many times you have a fraction and you want to get rid of the fraction. It's really easy to get rid of any fraction in an equation. All you have to do is multiply everything by the denominator. So in this case, we're going to multiply everything by 3. Let me zoom in a bit. So you could get rid of the 2/3 by multiplying by 3, multiplying by 3, multiplying by 3, multiplying by 3, multiplying everything by 3. What that does, it'll cancel it out. What you have left is a 2x minus 15x equals negative 12x plus 18. So you had a fraction, now you don't have a fraction. And then you just solve it the way you normally would. On the left side, you could combine like terms. And if you combine the 2x with the minus 15x, you're just doing this in your head. You're not doing the opposite or anything like that. It's not like you're moving it to the other side. You just do it in your head. 2 take away 15, negative 13. So you have negative 13 x's equals, let me rewrite everything, negative 12x plus 18. So I'm going to get x by itself on one side, but the problem is I have x's on both sides, so I need to get rid of one of them. I want to get rid of the minus 12 by going plus 12. 12x, that is. And when I do to one side, I do to the other side, plus 12x. So my new equation will be a negative 1x, or just negative x, equals 18. So for my final step, I could think of this many different ways. I could divide this side by negative 1 and divide this side by negative 1. It gives me the answer negative 18. Or I could multiply by negative 1, multiply by negative 1. It'll give me negative 18. Or you could just simply say, I'm changing the sign. And what you do to one side, you do to the other side, change the sign. So your answer is x equals negative 18. Let's move on to something more fun. So in these questions, you have several fractions. And remember, you could get rid of any fraction you want by multiplying everything by the denominator. So number 6. Well, actually, let's read through this. It says you could get rid of one fraction at a time, or you could get rid of all fractions at the same time by multiplying everything by the LCD. So if we look at number 6, I want to get rid of one fraction at a time. Wow, that didn't come out too good. That's a K right there. Okay, so I want to get rid of one fraction at a time. I want to get rid of this 1/2 right here. So how do I get rid of a 1/2? I multiply by the denominator 2, and I need to multiply everything by 2. That by 2, that by 2, this by 2, and this by 2. So the 2's cancel. I have a 1k left over, or just k. And then I have a minus 6. I have the equal sign. I have 4. And in this case, the 2 on top could cancel with the 4 on the bottom, but I'll still have a 2 left over. So I still have a fraction that's 3 over 2 with a k. Everybody with me? Okay, so at this point, I still have another fraction that I want to get rid of. If I want to get rid of this fraction, what do I have to multiply everything by?
2.
By 2. So if I go times 2 here, times 2 here, times 2 here, times 2 here, yes, the 2's cancel. I end up with a beautiful 3k right here. The 2 times 4 is 8. Let's not forget about the minus sign. Bring down the equal sign. And over here on the left side, 2 times 1, that's a 2k. And then you have minus 12, because 2 times 6 is 12. Now, we want to solve this thing. We want to get k by itself, but we have k's on both sides. So let's get rid of one of them. I want to get rid of the minus 3k by doing the opposite, plus 3k. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. I will end up with a 5k minus 12 equals 8. And then I'm going to get rid of the minus 12 by going plus 12, and I end up with 5k equals 20. And I've run out of space, but what's my last step? Divide by 5 on both sides, and I get k equals what?
4.
K equals 4. There you go. Final answer. On this problem, we're going to get rid of all fractions at the same time by multiplying everything by the LCD. So when we think about 3, 6, and 2, the LCD is 6. I multiply everything by 6. The 6 and the 3 cancels. There's going to be a 2, but times 2x, that'll give me a 4x. The 6's cancel. I'm going to have a minus 1 left over. The 6 and the 2 cancel. There's a 3 up here, which leaves me with an equals 3x. And the 6's cancel, and I end up with a plus 5. So I got rid of all the fractions at once by multiplying by the LCD. Because I've run out of time, I'm going to stop right here. I know you guys could solve that, and I'll do another video.